Hey guys, Political Junkie 2414 here, and welcome back to my next Senate analysis video. So today we're going to be taking a look at the 2022 U.S. Senate election in the state of New Hampshire. Last time we talked about Wisconsin in the last Senate analysis video. Of course, I made my Senate prediction yesterday. I'm going to push my governor election prediction to tomorrow. But New Hampshire is a very interesting state because it's the only state that has not yet held its primary election, or the only competitive race, the only competitive Senate race that is not yet, or it's the only state with a competitive Senate race that has not yet held its primary. So with that, hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, share it, turn on notifications so you don't miss another one of my videos. Check out my other channel, Interactor127, a non-political channel, and my comrades channel, Growlings666, and let's get right into it. The state of New Hampshire typically is a swing state, but it is Democratic leaning. It's a very socially liberal but fiscally conservative state. So, like on issues of abortion and gay marriage, it's pretty liberal, but on economic issues like taxes, which New Hampshire is has a notorious hatred of, it is very conservative. So the social issues usually give Democrats an advantage in federal elections. But in state elections, it gives Republicans an advantage. Republicans control the state legislature, I believe, and they have the governorship with Chris Sununu, the popular moderate Republican governor there. So, and, in presidential races, New Hampshire loves to shift. So Joe Biden won the state in 2020 by 7 points. And this was, this wasn't a particularly close margin. That's because New Hampshire likes to swing all over the place, and Trump was a very unpopular candidate in the state of New Hampshire. He had said, he had mocked New Hampshire, he had called it a hellhole back, I think it was in 2016 or 2017, and New Hampshire notoriously does not like the incumbent in the White House, so they voted for Biden by a pretty big amount. In 2016, though, it was very close. Hillary Clinton barely won the state over Trump. Gary Johnson got a significant portion of the vote, which is part of the reason why Trump lost the state, but I think Clinton still would have won it regardless. Anyways, Clinton won the state by 0.37%. It was very close. As you can see, New Hampshire likes to swing all over the place in presidential races. In 2012, Obama won the state by 6 points against Mitt Romney, and in 2008, he won it by a whopping 10 points against John McCain. In 2004, it was also the only state that flipped to John Kerry. Uh, um, Relative to Al Gore in 2000, while George W. Bush won Iowa and New Mexico, which he had lost to Gore in 2000. 2000 was the last time that New Hampshire voted Republican in a presidential race. And while it is a swing state, it has gotten more Democratic in recent years. But it does have a penchant for or it does like to swing all over the place. It's probably the most swingy state of swing states in that regard, in which it is a competitive state, but it just loves to move all over the place. And if you're wondering why I have Wisconsin as a toss-up when I had it as lean Republican beforehand, that's because the race has gotten a lot closer. But even if watch my video on the Senate, on my watch my new Senate prediction video, and I'll explain it. But some lean states, on this map can be considered toss-ups in my opinion. Not all of them though. But I think Wisconsin right now is a complete and total toss-up. But that is not the state we are talking about today. We've already talked about that state. It is the state of New Hampshire now. So the incumbent Democratic senator is Maggie Hassan. She's the former governor of New Hampshire. She was first elected to the Senate in 2016. She defeated the very popular incumbent Kelly Ayotte, a Republican who won by 23 points by 23 points in 2010. A very red year, but she was a very strong incumbent in the state of New Hampshire. Now, yes, this was a very close margin, and Hassan did underperform Clinton in 2016, but that was always going to happen. Kelly Ayotte was very much a moderate Republican, not quite as moderate as, say, Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins, but she was a pretty moderate Republican, and she had a lot of baseline support in New Hampshire. But Hassan, as the then governor of the state of New Hampshire, was able to defeat her very, very narrowly. I think it was less than 1,000 votes. New Hampshire is a pretty small state in terms of population, but it's not like completely rural. It has a lot of big cities. It has some big cities. In 2014, of course, voted for Jean Shaheen narrowly in a red wave year. So the state has gotten, closer and closer in recent elections. In the governor's race in 2014, a red wave year, Hassan won by 5 points, which shows her electability in the state of New Hampshire. She won in 2012 by 12 points. So she actually outperformed Barack Obama in 2012 and Jean Shaheen in 2014. And so she was pretty much the best person to defeat Kelly Ayotte, and she did. Now, the close margin that she defeated, by which she defeated Ayotte, would tell you that this race would be on the GOP's top target list for 2022 for a potential flip. Now, of course, Chris Sununu is the current governor of the state of New Hampshire, very popular in the state. He won by 32 points in 2020, and he was predicted to challenge Hassan. He had made it very clear that he was very interested in running for the seat. And while, the governor elections and Senate elections are a lot different. Senate elections are more nationalized, and Chris Sununu would not get the same bipartisan support that he got in his governor election. He would probably have still defeated Hassan, and he was expected to run in this race for a very long period of time. And just days after Glenn Youngkin won, well, I think it was like about a week after Glenn Youngkin won the Virginia governor's race, Sununu said he wasn't running. And that pretty much sent the GOP in the state of New Hampshire into total chaos. They asked Kelly Ayotte, who had expressed interest in running again, to see if she would run. She said no, she's not going to run. And so this really helped Hassan, and she, because you can see in these polls, if you look at hypothetical polling between her and Ayotte, it was a pretty close race. Of course, the University of New Hampshire is a very accurate pollster, but you can see that really the only Republican that was defeating Maggie Hassan was Chris Sununu, and he was out of the race. And Kelly Ayotte could have defeated Hassan, but she was staying out of it too. So the race pretty much became a lot easier for Democrats to win and a lot harder for Republicans to win. Now, we have the primary in just 10 days from now, so about a week and a half. The two main candidates that are running are Don Bolduc, a retired U.S. Army Special Forces Brigadier General, and he ran for the Senate in 2020 in the Republican nomination. He did not win. And the other main opponent, or the other main Republican running here, is Chuck Morse, president of the New Hampshire Senate, and the acting governor of New Hampshire. He served in between Hassan and Chris Sununu's terms because Hassan resigned early to take her Senate seat. So Morse was technically not the governor of New Hampshire, but he technically was. He is not officially the governor of New Hampshire. He was the acting governor. And Chuck Morse is from what I've heard about him, he's a more moderate candidate. As you can see, he's pretty much, he's putting up a good fight to Hassan. He's a more moderate Republican, but from what I've seen, he doesn't seem as moderate, as Chris Sununu is. He doesn't seem like he is necessarily the best, candidate. I mean, he's the best candidate now, but Chris Sununu would have been 100 times better than Chuck Morse, and I think that Hassan would still end up winning against Morse if Morse does indeed become the Republican nominee. I think it would be very close, or be a lot closer. But he does not seem to have really the win by his side. Don Bolduc does, and Bolduc is far from an electable, I guess you could say, candidate. He theoretically could win, but he is just simply too far right to win. He has endorsed the idea that the 2020 election was stolen. It was not. I don't care what right wing YouTubers like to say. I know you technically can't say it on YouTube, but I mean they allude to it. It wasn't stolen, guys. Okay, regardless of your partisanship, it wasn't stolen. Republicans have come out and say this. Um, and he has also criticized Chris Sununu and called him a communist and said that Sununu's business was killing Americans or something. Let me look at what he said. I don't even remember exactly what he said. I saw this like a little while ago. He said his Sununu's business supports terrorism. And so, yeah, and he also, yeah, he was one of 124 retired generals and admirals who signed an open letter promoting the lie that the 2020 presidential election was rigged in Biden's favor. And so, yeah, Bolduc is a very extreme candidate, and he is leading in the polls right now by substantial amounts. Now, there are a lot of undecided voters, but right now, on average, he leads by about 18 or 19 points against Chuck Morris. Now, of course, we don't have that much data out of the state. There was a lot of undecideds in all these polls, but this one by the University of New Hampshire really makes it look like Bolduc is getting the nomination. And the thing is that he is more of a Trumpian kind of candidate. He is, a conspiracy theorist. He is far right. New Hampshire is a state that really likes to elect, moderate Democrats and Republicans, particularly moderate Republicans, and that's why Chris Sununu would have been such a good candidate in this race, is that he's already a moderate and already so popular in the state of New Hampshire. Yes, his approval is waning, but I mean, it was already super high, and it's still super high. So there's really Chris Sununu would have almost certainly defeated Hassan. It would have been a competitive election, but I think that he probably would have won by 4 or 5 points in the end. But Bolduc may be the next extreme GOP nominee. We've seen this in Arizona with Blake Masters. We've seen it in Georgia with Herschel Walker. We've seen it in Pennsylvania with Dr. Oz. We saw it in Ohio with J.D. Vance, which is more of a surprise because Josh Mandel looked like he was the extreme choice. But it turns out that J.D. Vance was also a bad option. I will give the GOP credit that they have fielded strong candidates in some races like Colorado, with Joe O'Dea, Nevada with Adam Laxalt, North Carolina with Ted Budd, but even they are struggling in their competitive races. Joe O'Dea, I would argue, is probably the best, choice the Republicans have made this cycle. Maybe, Adam Laxalt in Nevada because that's a more winnable race against Catherine Cortez Masto, but we'll get to that. We'll get to those races eventually. And you also have to see is that on 538's Senate, they've put out this new, um, you know, uh, simulation. Essentially, they've had their prediction out for a while, but essentially what they do is that they show you their ratings for each competitive Senate race, and they allow you to call the individual races and see how that would affect the outcome of the Senate and other elections. So as you can see, New Hampshire they currently rate as a likely D state. So let's say Hassan wins. Let's say Don Bolduc wins. Let's just say it. I know we don't that I've said he's unelectable, but realistically he probably won't win. But it is theoretically possible to New Hampshire. Let's just say he wins. Republicans get a boost. They get a 74% chance of winning the Senate to Democrats' 26%. New Hampshire is pretty much critical to Democrats winning the Senate, not so much for Republicans. They can still win the Senate without it. But, them winning, Republicans winning New Hampshire pretty much give them the Senate majority automatically. Let's say Hassan wins. Democrats get almost an 80% chance of winning the Senate. And I think it's fair to say that Hassan's going to win here. And I do think that since Bolduc is getting the nomination, it will probably be a likely D state in the future of my predictions. I had it as likely D previously, but I moved it down because there were some polls that were showing the race narrowing up between Bolduc and Hassan. And it's still possible that Chuck Morse gets the nomination. So right now I have it as a lean Democratic state. I think that this race could get closer, but abortion is especially going to help Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire. Chuck Morse may be a much more moderate candidate than Don Bolduc, certainly the most electable Republican besides Chris Sununu. But and he could probably make this race lean or tilt. I don't think he'd lose by more than 5%, but he'd probably still lose because the abortion issue, we saw it in New York's 19th congressional district, even though Mark Molinaro pointed out that, New Yorkers don't really have to worry about their abortion rights because, it's New York, it's legal, it's not going to change. The Democrat, not Paul Ryan, sorry, what's his name? Oh my God, Pat Ryan. There you go, Pat Ryan, won in that race. So in a state that's as pro-choice as New Hampshire, that's socially as liberal as New Hampshire, maybe fiscally conservative, but Democrats almost always win in New Hampshire. It's not a state that is opposed to electing Republicans, but it is not going to take kindly to Don Bolduc, and I do presume that he is the nominee. If Chuck Morse does win the nomination, I will make another video about the state of New Hampshire, but I don't think that he is going to win the nomination. I think that Bolduc will, and in that case, it's likely D, but right now it's lean D just because I do have a little bit of uncertainty about it. But Data for Progress, even though this is a Democratic sponsor or Democratic leaning pollster, they got the New York 19th special election wrong. They said that Mark Molnaro would win by 8 points, and they have Hassan only up by 3 or 4. I don't believe that after seeing that. A lot of these other polls have been showing a much closer or a much more lopsided margin for Hassan. This one by the University of New Hampshire did show her only leading by 1 percentage point, but there were a lot of undecideds in this poll. Same here. So New Hampshire really could be a like a dark horse flip for Republicans, but I still think that Don Bolduc is just too far right, too extreme to win, and right now I have it as a lean Democratic state. And so yeah, so pretty much right now on at without calling any of the races, Democrats have a 68% chance of winning the Senate in this forecast. Republicans have a 32% chance. If they win New Hampshire with Bolduc, it jumps up to 74%. But if Democrats win New Hampshire, which is what is pretty much the what is pretty much expected right now, Democrats have about a 4 and 5 chance of winning the Senate. So New Hampshire really is a critical state in the 2022 Senate elections, even if it's not going to nearly be as competitive as some of these other races. But yeah, so let's go into the county map. I think that the county map will, still be New Hampshire is going to be closer than it was in 2020. Let's go to the 2020 election results right now. As you can see, and I apologize, I don't know what's happened, but like New Hampshire's county map is like huge on this page. So Trump only won 2 counties in the state of New Hampshire. I think Bolduc will do better than Trump because it's a more Republican leaning year. But he is a more extreme candidate than Trump. So I think that this is somewhat along the lines of what is going to be the county map. I think Bolduc will win 4 counties, and yeah, let's see how well Trump did in the state. Oh yeah, that's gonna be it. And then let's see how much Biden won these counties by. Yeah, Maggie Haskin can definitely win. She might be able to win this county right here. Right here. So yeah, let's see what the election results were in that county in 2016. Oh, it was pretty red for AOT, but I mean it's AOT. I think, yeah, it'll go to Bolduc probably. So yeah, even though this race is going to be competitive, it's pretty much an unwinnable race for the GOP. I'd say it has the same level of competitiveness as say Ohio. Ohio is going to JD Vance. Tim Ryan could theoretically win, but it's very unlikely still, even though he is doing very well in polling data. In New Hampshire, while it is a state that the polls in New Hampshire are typically very accurate. In 2016, in 2016, they said that it was a very close race, but the Democrats were favored in the Senate and presidential races. In 2020, they did say Biden was going to win the state by double digits. He only won it by 7, but 7 is a pretty good margin in the state of New Hampshire. So yeah, it will swing to the right, but I think right now, if the election was held today, Maggie Hassan would probably win by 4 to 5 points against Don Bolduc, and against Chuck Morse, she'd probably win by anywhere from 1 to 3 points. So yeah, and that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Senate analysis video. I'll be back with you guys with my governor election prediction tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And like the video. Share the video. Turn on notifications so you don't miss another one of my videos. Check out my non-political channel Interactor127 if you want to see some less political content, which I wouldn't blame you. Politics can be nasty, but I enjoy them anyway. And yeah, check out my comrade, Garlingzoo666. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things politics. See ya.